Welcome to Falcon TV.
Over the past few decades, China has experienced unprecedented economic growth and development. Through a combination of factors, it has transformed into a formidable global power politically, economically and militarily. This article will summarize in layman's terms the key drivers behind China's monumental rise on the world stage. Opening up the economy. After the establishment of the People's Republic in 1949, China initially adopted a closed communist economic system. But this limited innovation and growth. So, in the late 1970s, leader Deng Xiaoping introduced major reforms shifting China towards free market policies. State control of industries was loosened, private enterprise was allowed, and foreign trade and investment were encouraged. This kickstarted an economic boom. As the world's factory, China became a manufacturing powerhouse exporting all kinds of consumer products globally. The gradual selective introduction of capitalism while retaining political communism fueled rapid growth. Investment-driven growth model. A key part of China's economic strategy was an emphasis on high savings, capital investment and infrastructure building. China's savings rate is over 50% of GDP, far higher than other countries. Enormous state and private sector investments modernized industries and built extensive transport links, power plants, and telecom networks. This investment-heavy model focused on rapidly developing China's industrial capacity and infrastructure. The creation of special economic zones also boosted exports and foreign capital inflow. Technological catch-up growth. As a late industrializer, China could import best practices and technologies from abroad to catch up quickly. The state facilitated technology transfers from foreign partners into Chinese industries from aviation to biotech. High investments into R&D and STEM education also boosted China's innovation capacity. Premier Zhou Enlai's call to march towards science and technology drove many reforms. China's tech prowess is now seen in sectors like high-speed rail, e-commerce, 5G telecoms and more. Access to foreign knowledge which China re-engineered domestically catalytic rapid progress. Growth through manufacturing. The key driver of China's economic miracle was the enormous expansion of manufacturing. Cheap labor, good infrastructure, economies of scale, and favorable policies created the ideal environment for factory production serving both domestic and export markets. China became the world's workshop for all kinds of goods like electronics, clothes, toys and more. The resulting flood of «made in China» exports gave China a giant trade surplus and foreign capital inflow. Shanghai became the world's busiest port. Manufacturing success lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty into the new middle class. High savings and investment rates. Behind China's manufacturing boom was phenomenally high savings and investment rates. Chinese households save over 30% of disposable income due to Confucian thriftiness and the need to pay for health, education and retirement without Western-style social services. High corporate profits are also reinvested back into capacity and automation. This pool of savings allows enormous investments in infrastructure, machinery and technology underpinning manufacturing and construction growth. Consistently investing over 40% of GDP annually built modern China. State capitalism model. China's economic model is state capitalist combining free market activity with significant state ownership and intervention. Through state banks and enterprises, the government channels investments into priority sectors. Industrial policies like Made in China 2025 strategically build domestic champions in key tech fields. The strong guiding hand of the state in banking, land, infrastructure, energy and heavy industry side-by-side dynamic private firms drove growth. This unique hybrid model facilitated China's development. FDI, trade and current account surplus. China also benefited enormously from foreign direct investment, FDI, and trade. Attracting over $2 trillion in FDI since the 1980s provided capital, management know-how and technology transfer. It fueled export-oriented industries. Meanwhile, promoting labor-intensive exports while suppressing domestic consumption gave China the world's largest trade surplus. The stockpiling of huge foreign exchange reserves from consistent current account surpluses provided wealth to modernize. Becoming the world's factory rested on leveraging foreign money, knowledge and demand. WTO membership and openness. China leveraged its low-cost advantages and selectively opened sectors to foreign capital. After joining the WTO in 2001, China attracted even larger FDI inflows and technology partnerships as trade barriers fell. Greater openness to foreign investors and increased imports as domestic firms became more competitive accelerated industrial upgrading. Scholars argue WTO membership, which demanded reforms, was a catalyst for efficiency gains that boosted productivity, urbanization and internal migration. Another major catalyst for development was China's urbanization. As rural reforms freed up farmers to find work in cities, urban centers industrialized and created boomtowns powered by rural-urban migrants. Cities like Shenzhen and Guangzhou exploded from small towns into huge metropolises, providing housing and infrastructure for massive urban migration and creating a deep labor pool fueled industrialization. The population shift from countryside to cities stimulated growth, improving human capital. Higher expenditures on healthcare, education, and social services also boosted China's human capital. Rising literacy, life expectancy and access to schools and universities gave China a skilled workforce to fill factory floors and later occupy higher-value services. Focused investments in improving human capital expanded the middle class. Achievements like raising over 800 million people out of poverty into a decent standard of living contributed to development. Legal and governance system. China did not completely embrace Western-style democracy, but improving governance, legal institutions, and bureaucratic accountability were important. Pragmatic leaders implemented measures to curb corruption, make officials more responsive, and improve financial regulation. Experimental reforms gradually expanded the rule of law. Strengthening governance and institutions ensured growth was stable and sustainable. However, many challenges around transparency and human rights remain. Innovation and R&D investments. A key priority for China now is becoming an innovation powerhouse through massive R&D investments and reforms to spur high-tech breakthroughs. Annual R&D spending has grown over 20% yearly, reaching almost $300 billion in 2017. China aims to become a global science and technology leader within a decade or so. Through incentives for innovation and IP protection improvements, China's determination to move up the value chain is paying dividends in fields like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, new materials and more. Military modernization. Investing heavily in defense, China has strengthened its military might in recent years. Its assertiveness in the South China Sea and around Taiwan demonstrates growing power projection capabilities and willingness to flex its muscle. Heavy military spending expanded China's naval fleet size to about 350 ships and 750 combat aircraft, not far from U.S. levels. Advances in precision missiles, stealth fighters, cyber and anti-satellite weapons helped narrow many technology gaps. Becoming a leader in cutting-edge defense gives China strategic clout. Belt and Road Initiative. China's Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, aims to improve trade links and infrastructure across Asia to Europe and Africa. Through over $1 trillion in Chinese-led investment in high-speed rail, ports, roads and other projects, Beijing hopes to integrate partner economies closer with China. By financing major transportation and energy projects, it expands China's political and economic influence across Eurasia and the global South. This largesse extends Chinese hard and soft power. Conclusion. China's economic transformation has been unprecedented in speed and scale. In just a few decades, a poor agrarian nation became the world's second-largest economy and major power through factors like manufacturing, foreign trade and investment, urbanization, upgrades in human capital and innovation. China's rise has lifted hundreds of millions into prosperity while modernizing its military and global influence. It represents a major shift in the global order and America's status as sole superpower. By harnessing its large population and resources effectively, China is now writing a new chapter as an emerging heavyweight on the global stage.
Subscribe Falcon TV for more videos. Thanks for watching.